Hello and welcome to our second lesson on this B8 topic on photosynthesis. So last lesson we looked at the basics of photosynthesis. We discussed the word and symbol equations for photosynthesis. We discussed where the reactants come from and where the products go to a certain extent. And we also discussed how you can test leads for starch and to see if they are carrying out gas exchange. Now today's lesson we need to look at photosynthesis in a bit more detail, okay? More specifically where this glucose goes and the product, which is one of the products in photosynthesis, and how it is used by the plant. So today's lesson, looking at photosynthesis. By the end of the lesson you should be able to recall the word and symbol equations for photosynthesis. You should be able to do that already. You should be able to explain the importance of photosynthesis to plants, and you should be able to evaluate how plants use the glucose they produce. So last lesson we said that the reactants of photosynthesis included carbon dioxide, and water. We then said that these are added together in the presence of chlorophyll and light, and we add light and chlorophyll on the arrow because they are not substances really either that you can hold in terms of light, because light is a form of energy, therefore it can't be a reactant, we can't hold it in our hands, and chlorophyll is not really a reactant in it. The chlorophyll is unchanged, it just carries out the reaction. So chlorophyll, okay. When we add these together, so when we add carbon dioxide and water together with use of chlorophyll, which uses light, we make glucose and oxygen. And we said last lesson that these are our products. Okay. Now, chlorophyll is the green part of a plant. Chlorophyll is a substance that makes the leaf of a plant green, and it carries out photosynthesis. So we can say that chlorophyll is the green chemical, or the green substance in plants or in leaves that carries out photosynthesis. Okay, so it is the chlorophyll that allows the plant to do photosynthesis. Now the chlorophyll is stored in the chloroplast. If you think back to B1, when we spoke about the parts of a cell, the chlorophyll is found in this part of a cell known as the chloroplast. So chlorophyll is found in cell chloroplasts. Now that's an important distinction. The chlorophyll is inside the chloroplast. When you get asked in an exam, what is the part of the leaf that carries out photosynthesis? What is the chemical that carries it out? You can't say the chloroplasts. The chloroplast is not the chemical. Chlorophyll is the chemical that is found in the chloroplast. Now the reason chlorophyll appears green is because chlorophyll reflects green light, but absorbs all other colours of light. In year 7 you would have learnt about colour, and you would have learnt that we see certain colours because that is the colour of light reflected from an object. At the moment I'm sitting in my room at home, there is a red poster on the wall, and that poster appears red. The reason for that is because all of the wavelengths of light are being absorbed, the wavelength of red light is being reflected, and it is going into my eyes. So we can just add underneath here, and this used to be very important at A level, it's certainly worth mentioning at GCSE, we can say that chloroplasts or chlorophyll appears green as it reflects green light but absorbs other wavelengths. Okay, so chlorophyll appears green as it reflects green light but absorbs other wavelengths of light. So we'll just put of light there because it makes a better sentence. Of light. Okay. Now in chemistry you should have, or you will do, learn about endo and exothermic reactions. Photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction. So we can say, I'm going to put it in regs, it's important, photosynthesis is a endothermic reaction. Now, what this means is that it needs energy from the environment to take place. So, endothermic reaction can be defined, just stretch my hand because it's cramping. Endothermic reaction can be defined as a reaction that requires energy from the environment, to take place. Again, you may have done this in chemistry. So, photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction. Endothermic reactions require energy from the environment. Photosynthesis needs light, in fact we'll bit of that colour green, needs light, therefore it's endothermic. So we can say that photosynthesis needs light from the environment to take place and is therefore endothermic. So if we have a look at what we've said so far, we've said that the reaction for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of light will allow chlorophyll to make glucose and oxygen, which are our products. Chlorophyll is the green substance in leaves that carries out photosynthesis, and chlorophyll is found in the cells in the chloroplasts. Chlorophyll appears green because it reflects green light but absorbs other wavelengths of light. Photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction. It's endothermic because it requires energy from the environment, and in the case of photosynthesis, that is light. Light is required from the environment for this to happen, therefore it is endothermic. So if we can just refresh the screen. What am I doing? I want black, and I want a pen. So, early scientists thought that plants, and not just early scientists in fact, but a lot of people seem to think that plants grow by using minerals in the soil. That is partly true, but they don't get their carbon from the soil. They get it from carbon dioxide. So we can just say that, in fact I'm not going to use red because it's not that important, we can say that most people think that plants grow by just using minerals in the soil. And this is where we can use one of the images that is found on the PowerPoint that I have prepared for you. And it's the result of someone called Van Helmont's experiment. Okay, this is on the PowerPoint, but I am going to put it here as well so we can look at it. What Van Helmont did was he took a plant and he weighed it. And he placed that plant in a set weight of soil. Now, if the plant was using the soil to grow, the soil mass should have gone down and the plant's mass would have gone up. However, he noticed that that didn't happen. The plant soil, although it did go down, it was very marginal. It was 0.1 of a kilogram. Okay, so it went down by 100 grams. However, the plant grew exponentially. The plant grew to what, by let's say 74 kilo. I can't do that quick enough. Okay, well, it would be 73.4, I think. You know my maths is terrible. Okay, but you get the idea. So the plant grew, and it grew significantly, but it didn't grow. It didn't reduce the amount of soil. So we can say in 1600, Van Helmont, sorry, my hand keeps cramping. Van Helmont showed that the mass, that the increase in mass of a plant, in the mass of a plant, was not due to the soil minerals. Was not due to soil minerals. And essentially what he did was, as I've said, he weighed a plant, planted it in a set mass of soil. He left the plant to grow for 5 years. He provided it only with water. And what he did was he then removed the plant, removed the water from the soil and reweighed it. He found that the soil remained fairly constant. The mass of the soil didn't really change much over 5 years, but the mass of the plant did. The plant got much bigger. So we can say that he found that in 5 years, while the plant grew a lot, gaining mass, the soil remained constant. And that raises the question, well, where did it come from? Now, organisms are made of carbon. We are carbon-based life forms. Therefore, when a plant is absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, that carbon is being used to build more plant. Okay, so it was this carbon being absorbed through photosynthesis which allowed the plant to grow. So we can say underneath, and I'm going to put it in red because it's important, that photosynthesis uses carbon in carbon dioxide to build carbohydrates to allow plants to grow. So it's this carbon dioxide which is used to build carbohydrates that allow plants to grow. Okay? So we can refresh this screen and we can have a think about our final learning objective. We could put the subheading, please. And in fact, I'm going to use a different colour. What is glucose used for? In plants. Okay, and we need to know about what glucose is actually used for. So the glucose that is made inside photosynthesis, what is it used for? So the first one we can say is that glucose is converted to starch for energy storage. And we spoke about that in quite a bit of detail last lesson. So glucose is converted to starch for energy storage. Another use of glucose is that it can be built into sugars, into cellulose for cell walls. So glucose is used to make cellulose for cell walls. Okay. Our next one, glucose can be added to nitrate ions to make amino acids for proteins. So glucose can be added to nitrate ions to make amino acids for proteins. We can say that they can be used to make fats and oils for storage. So, glucose can be used to make fats and oils for energy storage. Think of nuts. When you eat nuts, they've got a lot of fat in them. That is come from a plant, and that's how plants store energy. For energy storage. And finally, what we're going to talk about is that the glucose produced can be used in respiration. So, glucose can be used by the plant for respiration. Okay, so we've said what is glucose used for in plants. So glucose is made in photosynthesis. It can be converted into starch for energy storage. I'll underline some of these to break up the white background. So it can be used for starch for energy storage. It can be used to make cellulose for cell walls. Glucose can be added to nitrate ions to make proteins, basically to make amino acids to build proteins. It can be turned into fats and oils, again, much like starch, for energy storage. And it can be used in respiration. Okay? Respiration is an important one. Plants carry out respiration when the sun goes down. Obviously, when the sun goes down, plants can no longer do photosynthesis, so they switch over to respiration. So we can say here, I'm going to put it in red because it's important, when there is no sunlight, comma, plants carry out respiration. So when there is no sunlight, plants carry out respiration. So you should now be able to tell me the word and symbol equations for photosynthesis. You should be able to explain the importance of photosynthesis to plants, and you should be able to tell me some uses of glucose in a plant. Remember the important points from today. Photosynthesis is endothermic, and you also really need to know the uses of glucose in the plant. So that sort of summarises our second lesson on this B8 topic. If you have any questions, please comment below in Google Classrooms or drop me an email and I will be happy to get back to you as soon as possible. Until the next lesson, please stay safe and I will see you then.